On August 14, 2005, an airplane took off normally. The pilots checked in, the passengers boarded. Everything looked routine. But just minutes later, the cockpit went silent. No distress call, no hijacking message, no mayday. Yet the plane kept flying, for hours, on autopilot, through Greek airspace with no one conscious inside. Fighter jets were scrambled. Pilots flew alongside the aircraft, and what they saw inside would haunt them forever. This is the true story of Helios Flight 522, the flight that became known as the Ghost Plane. Helios Flight 522 was a Boeing 737 flying from Larnaca, Cyprus to Prague, with a stop in Athens. On board were 121 people, 115 passengers, 6 crew members, families, children, tourists, flight attendants starting another workday. The captain was experienced. The co-pilot was young but fully certified. The aircraft had undergone maintenance the night before. Nothing unusual was reported. At 9:07 a.m., the plane took off. Everything appeared normal, until 10 minutes after departure. An alarm suddenly began screaming in the cockpit, a loud, piercing warning. But here's the terrifying part. The alarm sounded exactly like another alarm the pilots were trained to ignore during takeoff. It wasn't a fire alarm. It wasn't an engine failure. It was a cabin altitude warning. The aircraft was losing pressurization, but the pilots didn't realize that. They believed the alarm was warning them about a cooling system issue, something minor. As the plane climbed higher, the oxygen level inside began dropping, quietly, invisibly, and then the symptoms began. At high altitude, the human brain shuts down without warning. No pain, no panic, just confusion, poor judgment, then unconsciousness. This is called hypoxia. Pilots are trained for it. But hypoxia also prevents you from realizing it's happening. Radio recordings reveal the captain's voice becoming slow and confused. He contacted ground engineers reporting the wrong problem. Minutes later, the cockpit went completely silent. One by one, the pilots lost consciousness. The plane continued climbing, on autopilot. Air traffic control tried calling the aircraft, again and again. No response. The plane entered Greek airspace, still flying perfectly straight. Authorities feared the worst. Terrorism, hijacking, suicide mission. Greek fighter jets were scrambled. As the jets approached, the pilots looked inside the cockpit, and what they saw chilled them. The fighter pilots reported. The captain slumped over his seat, the co-pilot motionless. Oxygen masks hung from the ceiling in the cabin. Passengers were unmoving. The plane was flying itself, a fully loaded passenger jet with no one awake. For nearly 3 hours, Helios Flight 522 circled the Athens airport, running out of fuel. Then something unbelievable happened. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the cockpit, a man wearing an oxygen mask. It was Andreas Prodramou, a flight attendant. He had limited flight training. He was not a pilot, but he was the last conscious human on the plane. He attempted to take control. Fighter pilots watched as he struggled with the controls. But it was too late. The engines flamed out one by one. The plane began its final descent. At 12:04 p.m., Helios Flight 522 crashed into a hillside near Grammatiko, Greece. There were no survivors. 121 lives lost. Not from impact, but from lack of oxygen. The investigation revealed the horrifying truth. During maintenance, a single switch had been left in the wrong position. One switch. It disabled the plane's automatic pressurization. A simple human error. After this disaster, aircraft warning systems were redesigned. Pilot training on hypoxia was improved. Maintenance procedures were changed worldwide. Helios Flight 522 is remembered not as a crash, but as a ghost flight, a plane that flew on, long after everyone inside was already gone. Helios Flight 522 didn't crash because of a storm. It didn't fail because of an engine. It flew perfectly, until there was no one left to fly it. One switch, one warning misunderstood, 121 lives lost without a single scream. And somewhere above the clouds for hours that plane kept going, empty, silent. This wasn't an accident you could hear. It was one you never saw coming. If stories like this matter to you, the lessons written in black boxes in silence. Subscribe to Black Box for more aviation mysteries, disasters, and the stories they never teach you about flying.